fine. You ready to start? Okay. I'd like to call. Sorry. I'd like to call this meeting to order in open session. Welcome to this evening's hybrid Board of Trustees meeting being held both in person and virtually. This meeting has been made accessible to members of the public on the link at Moreland School District's website and on board docs. Any person who requires accommodations to access this meeting has been asked to contact the superintendent's office within 24 hours of this meeting. This meeting is being recorded and may be published online at a later date. That meeting's in open session.
I believe we have an oath of office to take care of tonight, so Station, please meet me over here at the podium. All right, so welcome. Congratulations. Repeat, raise your right hand and repeat after me. I
Station Shekaripuram,
do solemnly
swear.
Repeat after me.
Have you been here?
Do solemnly swear or affirm that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States
Do solemnly swear or affirm that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
and the Constitution of the State of California against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of California,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of California,
that I take this obligation freely without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion, and I will well and faithfully discharge the duties upon which I am about to enter.
that I will take this obligation freely without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion, and that I will well and faithfully discharge the duties upon which I am about to enter.
Congratulations.
All right, with that, I'll wait for Session to come.
Yeah, you get,
Put me on the center.
yeah, no.
Yeah.
Welcome. All right, all raised for the flag salute. Place your right hand over your heart and begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please be seated. I'd like to report out that no action was taken in closed session and make a motion to approve the agenda with a slight change. We are reconvening in closed session after the open session. So with that, do I have a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved, as
Do I-
amended?
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor say aye.
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 All right, okay. Comments from the public?
Thank you. Members of the public may address the board on any subject of concern to you, including those not on tonight's agenda. However, provisions of the Brown Act preclude any action. As an unagendized item, no response is required or permitted from the board or district staff, and as already stated, no action can be taken. The board, however, may instruct the superintendent to follow up, which may or may not include placing the item on a future meeting's agenda. If you would like to address the board today, please complete the blue public comment card within the first 15 minutes of the board meeting being called to order in public session. On the card, please list the agenda item you would like to speak to. If your comments do not pertain to an agendized item, please write public comment. When your name is called, please come to the podium and state your name and organization that you are representing. Comments are limited to 3 minutes per the board governance manual. We do have one public comment card this evening. Are there any others? All right, so we do have other blue cards for an agendized item, but at this time, I'd like to invite Sarah Spalletta to the podium, please.
Hello, I'm Sarah Spalletta and I live on Santa Monica Aquino. I am right in the middle of Latimer and Easterbrook Discovery School. I have 2 school-age sons enrolled in the district currently. Currently, Latimer is our home school. My older son started kindergarten there. I'm sorry, I'm reading from the paper because I am a little bit nervous. The district moved my son from Latimer to Baker for 1st, 2nd, and 3rd grade. The entirety of Latimer and Baker were really traumatic experiences for my special needs son. Chris can attest to that. Latimer does not have ample mild SDC placement for my older son, so he can no longer go there. Since Baker, he's been moved to 3rd school, EDS. He's starting to settle, build a routine, sense of belonging. He's doing really well. Now in March, I enrolled my younger son to start in TK in the fall this year. I submitted with my enrollment a request to transfer from my homeschool Latimer to EDS. We received first notice there was no room at Latimer and the younger brother had space at Payne. Then we were told in April our request to transfer to EDS couldn't be accommodated and he is now assigned to Latimer. Given conflicting messaging, I responded to enrollment. It's clear the district doesn't have a standard to accommodate siblings of SDC families that the district forces to move without our say. My sons will be unnecessarily separated, causing a strain on the family's time, resources, and routine, which is crucial for my SDC son to succeed. Our SDC son has been moved by the district twice. There should be a higher standard set for keeping SDC families together with their siblings. By separating siblings and not accommodating transfers, Moreland is actively making it harder for these brothers to succeed. I was told by EDS staff that there was a 2nd TK classroom opened. The district responded with, there's a 1-to-10 ratio cap. This sounds like there's only room for 10 students total, which is misleading. I'm not the first SDC family with siblings, and I'm not the last. There should be a higher standard. More accommodations need to be made for SDC families when Moreland can't provide space for us at our home school. The district should consider offering placements for siblings to smooth the process for all sides. More care needs to be given for SDC families displaced from their home schools. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Should I stay up here
No.
You're good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Just to be clear, we actually can't comment because it's part of public comment. I imagine staff maybe will follow up.
Yes, I know Chris is fully aware. I'm aware of the situation. TK at EDS is completely full and it's a state cap. The law of 20 students per TK classroom with a teacher and an aide. We're not allowed to go above that. So right now that is a full TK classroom.
Maybe offline. Yeah.
Offline.
Thank you.
Thank you for your comments.
Thank you.
Do we have other?
We do, but for an agendized item.
Okay, so they will come up at that point in time.
That's right.
Thank you for that. With that, turn it over to Clover for superintendent's report.
Okay, thank you so much. Well, thank you, Ulysses. So tonight is a very exciting night of some very important milestones. So we are celebrating some transitions. I'd like to welcome our newest board trustee, Session, who was just appointed on Saturday and took the oath tonight. He brings more than 30 years of Silicon Valley high-tech experience, recently serving as a director of engineering at Intel Corporation, a Moreland resident for over 2 decades and a former district parent. Station has a long history of local volunteerism, including serving the Country Lane School Site Council and Country Lane Neighborhood Association Board. And Station, we wanted to welcome you with one of our Moreland tote bags that we give to all of our employees at the Day of the Employee. So congratulations and welcome to Moreland. And then, as you may or may not know, Dr. Jennifer Baldwin has accepted the position of superintendent in the Live Oak School District for next school year. So this marks her last board meeting in Moreland. We want to congratulate her on this exciting opportunity, thank her for her 7 years of service in the Moreland School District, including human resources and educational service. And I'm not sure if Live Oak leadership team knows this yet, but Jen is an excellent cook. And she loves to host 6-course meals and has a perfect wine pairing for each of the courses, which I will miss. So we want to thank you and wish you well in your new position, Jen. Congratulations. And then as Jen is transitioning to her new role, I'd like to welcome Amanda Boyce. Come on up to the podium, Amanda. She will be our new Assistant Superintendent of Educational Services beginning July 1st. And so at this time, Amanda, I know you'd like to address the board and introduce yourself.
Yeah, thank you very much, Dr. Todd, and good evening, Moreland Board of Education. It's with great excitement and appreciation that I accept the appointment of Assistant Superintendent of Educational Services effective July 1st. I've spent a substantial amount of time reading through the Moreland Strategic Plan, reviewing all the school websites, watching many board meetings, and reviewing the LCAP. So it's clear to me why Moreland is such a special and unique district, and I'm very eager to begin. So just a little bit of background about me. So this year marks my 26th year in public education. So I've served as Director of Student Services, Director of Special Education, half my career as a principal, reading specialist, and classroom teacher. I'm very grateful that these districts, mostly in Palo Alto and Cupertino School District, serve diverse populations where my steadfast belief that demographics should never determine destiny guided a lot of my work. So I am committed to collaborating with families and with greater community and with staff to make sure that all students feel engaged and supported and academically challenged and valued. With me this evening, I have my husband, Will, and one of my daughters, Lauren. They really have been the greatest source of support in my career. Lauren has just finished 9th grade at Palo Alto High School, and my other daughter, Caitlin, could not be here tonight because she's in finals week at Cal Poly San Luis Obispo studying architecture, but we're excited to welcome her back next week. I just look forward to meeting many more Moreland families and working alongside you. So thank you very much for giving me this opportunity.
Welcome.
You too get a Moreland tote bag. Building very much. And that actually concludes my comments for this part of the agenda.
So board member communications? Okay, I'll start. So first of all, I want to thank you, Jen. I think you started about a year after I did, so I've kind of like, we've been together in this journey for almost together. I just want to thank you for all your contributions to the Moreland community and school district. Many of you in the audience may or may not know, but Dr. Baldwin has had an incredible career in public education, spanning classroom teaching and administration. I think Live Oak is very lucky to have a leader of impeccable integrity, deep experience, and a strong focus on students. Both as a colleague and friend, I wish you all the best at Live Oak. I really do.
Thank you.
And then on the topic of celebrating change, Amanda, I want to extend a warm welcome to you to Moreland as well. You'll keep hearing the phrase Moreland family a lot, and hopefully as time goes on, you'll realize that it's not just a sappy and cheesy phrase, but it's something that rings true. And like most families, we probably will not agree on a few things, but at the end of discussions, I'm almost always confident that we'll walk out stronger than when we entered it. So, and things always work out. In terms of other news, middle school promotions, I've had an opportunity to attend all 3 promotions at Moreland, at Latimer, MMS, and EDS. Each ceremony reflects the unique character of that particular school site, and it's special in its own way. I'm an emotional guy, I'll be the first to admit. I cry at Disney movies. I cry if there is an ad that features a puppy and sappy music. So I'm like, so when you take me and then you have this series of TK kids coming in and handing roses to the 8th grade graduating student, I lost it. Fortunately, the sun was shining in my face, so nobody could see what was going on. I love the EDS promotion ceremony. It's completely handled by the students. It's amazing to see the talent that's on display, the songs that they sing, the music that they bring. It's an incredible celebration. MMS highlights and reflects the diversity that makes it such a thriving campus. And it kind of fills me with joy whenever I attend these promotion ceremonies to see how much, how different and vibrant our community is. And finally, a warm welcome to session. I'm sorry, these are going a little bit longer. Shelley Hong, as you had to vacate her seat as she moved out of District 1. And last Saturday, the board conducted a very thorough interview process. And I'm very pleased by the interest and the enthusiasm shown by the community. We've had 4 extremely strong candidates to interview. And it is a luxury of choice that we had on Saturday to go through these candidates, but it also meant that we had to make some really tough choices. And it was one of the longest conversations that we've had as a board, but again, I think we made a good choice. And then, but also I wanted to let you know that out of the 4 candidates, I knew 2 of them professionally and personally for a very long time. So in the final vote, I abstained from that vote. I want to thank my fellow board members for their support, guidance, and leadership through this very important process. And especially Brian, Ryan, and Heather have been through this process before. I hadn't been through that process, so I particularly appreciated their guidance to me. Thank you. That's it. Heather, thank you.
Okay. Maybe a little bit out of order. I also want to welcome you, Seshan, to the board. It truly was a really wonderful opportunity to have such incredible applicants. I was really, really pleased, and it was a really tough decision. So thank you for all of the applicants. And I just want to add thank you to the staff that did all of the prep work. It's a very involved process, timeline that's very clearly laid out that needs to be followed and all of that. It's a tremendous amount of work. And so thank you for all of that. I want to acknowledge Dr. Baldwin as well. I remember very clearly, and Jeffrey Spafford talked about this in his comments at the last board meeting, that you have always applied just your personality and your approach to everything that you've done. And I always loved your reflection of your garden when you spoke publicly, and the analogy, right, that it takes tremendous work and care, and sometimes it's hard and sometimes it doesn't go well. I think you had a year where critters ate your garden, and so that just is it reflects how personally you approach everything, and I appreciate that in you, and I'm very excited for the school district that you're going to take leadership of. I'm confident they are going to really thrive under your guidance. So congratulations to you. What else am I forgetting? Promotion ceremonies also had me very overwhelmed. You spoke beautifully about the why each is so unique and special. And it just really is always an opportunity to not only celebrate the work that is done in the district, but to reflect on the impact that is had every year with hundreds of kids, thousands of kids that we serve in this district, and just so proud of how many kiddos walked and celebrated their promotion to high school, and grateful to be a part of it. And just so proud of the work that's done, not only from the grown-ups involved, but all of the children as well. So thank you to everyone for their hard work, not only putting together those promotion ceremonies, but also the work that goes into making that possible at the end of 8th grade. So I think that is everything for me.
Great. You want to take your first crack at this?
I'll take a crack at it.
I'd love
It's just been 2 days. First of all, I'm going to go. I have a prepared script, but I'm just going to go full Monty here. It's an amazing ride in the last 2 or 3 days. I mean, it's Saturday, and I met a group of wonderful people sitting outside, my competitors. I didn't see them as competitors. Actually, we had a good laugh. I think Debbie would attest to that. She was hearing us, and every one of them deserved to be here on the seat. And to me, when the board called and said that I was selected, I was, over the top. And it happened to be my wedding anniversary day. And it was a fantastic cherry on top for me. And my wife and my mother-in-law were there, and my 2 kids were also there, sitting at the back, just a few minutes until the swearing-in ceremony. They had a prior engagement, so they had to leave right away after the ceremony. So, it's great that they were there to support me at this swearing-in. And as you'd have seen me, Dr. Clover taking the oath, I'm pretty much on the run. I want to stay ahead of the game. That's how it's played in hardware, software. We all know about it. We are in Silicon Valley. So don't mind me making some mistakes along the way. Please, I appreciate the support that you guys have shown me in the last 2 or 3 days. It's just been amazing. So I can only imagine what's ahead of me. So now I'm going to go to my prepared speech. So distinguished board members, superintendent, staff, teachers, and the diverse Moreland community, I want to thank you for your trust. That's the most important thing. I must also thank my family. Their love and support is the bedrock that allows me to stand here and serve. The vision that I have is it's reminded me of the pioneers like Horace Mann and John Dewey. You can look it up on Google. They proved public education must constantly evolve to serve every single child. My mission is student first. As your newly elected trustee, I promise a relentless student first approach to closing our gaps, safeguard equity, strengthen core programs from TK foundations to Avid readiness. I heard just from a parent just now about the TK, right? And we probably can look into improving those things. I work on 4 pillars that I've chosen myself to work on, which is fiscal responsibility, eliminate budget gaps to protect classrooms, innovation. That's where I can help out with the team, close academic gaps with vital tools like ELD. And in collaboration, I would like to prioritize the power of the parent engagement. I think parents do, a lot with the students and where they are. And as personally, I have 2 daughters who had gone through the Moreland School District from elementary to middle school, and then graduated to high school as well as to the colleges, public colleges. So, I know how it is, the power of, the parent engagement. In terms of support, I want to champion the educators with the right tools, the space and time to succeed. And now when I was talking to Dr. Clover, she said, I asked one question, what does the educators need, the teachers need? She said they need time. And we'll look for those kind of things. And in closing, I would say together we can build a stronger, more equitable future for Moreland. Thank you. Gracias. Dhanyavad. Salamat. Kamsahamnida. And arigato.
We're done.
Follow that.
No, yeah. My prepared comments. It's fun. Thank you. Thank you for the diligence you showed in your preparation for coming and interviewing. And again, we were blessed to have a number of candidates that I think all could have performed admirably. And so we look forward to working together. I just want to say thank you to Dr. Baldwin for the work and time that you spent here. Got to know you well over the last many years. And I really feel like you've always brought your whole self to the workplace, and that's not easily done. And that you are a champion of culture and an empathetic leader. And I look forward, like everybody here, to seeing the great things you're going to go on to do, given the chance to lead a district. And so wish you absolutely nothing but the best. And we will always be mindful of where you're at and what you're up to and rooting for you.
Thank you.
So it's been a pleasure. That's all I have.
Thank you. I'll just start off by thanking Dr. Baldwin for watching you grow over these last several years. I've seen you go from principal to assistant superintendent and moving on and growing. And so I do wish you luck in the future for continued growth and dedication to the children and the education. It's not within my DNA to be able to make those type of leaps and bounds, but it is always exciting to see those who do and the strategies that they use to be able to be to gain that. So congratulations, and yeah, we'll be looking forward to hearing from you and seeing how you do in the future. I will just also say that what you guys are witnessing is this. I call it the exclamation point at the end of the year. This is a pretty kind of a rare kind of a board meeting in the sense that we have so many changes, but I think it's the perfect example of like the type of growth and the communication that we've all been able to witness, from electing a new board member to celebrating our assistant superintendent and then welcoming in a new assistant superintendent. And it just goes to show that we're doing this. There's a love for the children and their growth, and what good communication looks like. There's a lot to celebrate here, and I think it's the exclamation point at the end of the year. It just so happens to be at the end of the school year, but really exciting, especially with the comments of the graduations as well, and the diversity that each of the graduations demonstrated. Got to attend all three, and yeah, it's what makes Moreland very special. And I think this was a perfect example in a microcosm what this looks like. So thanks again.
Thank you, Ron. All right, thank you everybody for your comments. With that, we'll move to discussion and action items. First one is approval of the CONAP.
This is our spring submission of the CONAP. The CONAP is the state's process for applying for and reporting on federal categorical funds, which includes Title I, II, III, and IV programs that support staff and families. The spring CONAP reflects our planned use for federal funds for the 26-27 school year and includes required assurances, program descriptions, and stakeholder engagement. While the CONAP is largely a compliance requirement, an annual item that we approve, it reflects our commitment to leveraging every available resource to support our students and strengthen our instruction, engage our families, and ensure equitable opportunities for all students. So we ask that you approve our spring.
Any questions from the board members?
I know it's routine and it's a compliance, but also I always appreciate seeing where the resources are being pointed, Title II, Title III, et cetera. And so I actually I enjoy taking a peek at that, and I appreciate you bringing that forward.
Any other questions? Hearing none, do I have a motion to approve the CONAP?
I'll move to approve.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
So moved. Approve the agenda, sorry. Approve amendment to the Sodexo contract.
Yeah, so in front of you, you have an amendment to the Sodexo contract around the blended cost per meal. Slight increase to 2.528 for next year, so the recommendation is to approve that amendment.
What was the increase from?
So the RFP that we signed, the 5-year contract that we signed with Sodexo back in July 1st, 2024, has in there a stipulation that there's an annual increase based on the CPI in January.
Okay,
And so it was 2.9%.
2.9%.
It still frightens me that somebody's providing a meal for $2.50, blended
Pretty good.
across 3 meals. Across 3 meals. It is amazing. And I don't think I've heard anything about the quality of food in the MMS.
The lack of
Speeches.
quality,
Yeah,
yeah,
is what you're
no,
talking about.
it's pretty good. It's really improved.
for a number of years, that was the subject of the MMS promotion ceremony.
That's true.
Better food. So, with that, I'd submit a motion to approve the amended Sodexo contract.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, approve resolution number 13, 2025-2026 cash borrowing.
So this resolution is our annual resolution as we near the end to close the books. It just allows us, if needed, to borrow from other funds temporarily as we're closing the books. We don't anticipate a need for it, but we bring it forward every year just in case.
Any questions from the board?
We still use the sale of site funds if we needed.
If needed,
Yeah. No additional questions. Submit a motion to approve the cash borrowing resolution.
Do I have a second?
I'll second with just a comment that I'm grateful we have that resource. Not all districts in the area and beyond have that opportunity, and it comes at a cost if you have to borrow money. And so I'm just really glad that we continue to be able to do this. That's my wordy second motion.
Thank you, Heather. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, moving to 5D, approve resolution number 14, 2025-2026 budget transfers.
This is another annual resolution as we're closing the books. There may be need to make budget transfers throughout as we're going through that process. And so this just allows us to do so with your permission. So we ask for approval.
And if and when such a transfer happens, does it come to the board, Chris, for approval, or is it?
No, that's what this resolution.
This is the one to
If we
say,
didn't have this resolution, we would have to wait for the budget transfer and it would delay the closing
makes sense. Okay,
in
thank you.
August.
Any questions? Hearing none, do I have a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve resolution 14, number 14, 25-26 budget transfers.
Do I have a second?
Second?
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Moving on to 6A, approve updates to board policy 5131.8, mobile communication devices.
So just as a heads up, we do have speakers on this item. So historically, we've heard the report, listened to speakers, and then had discussion, right?
Perfect, thank you.
Yep.
So we'll do it that way then. Thank you, Heather. I did not know I was actually going to turn to you and say, what's the process? Thank you for that. Okay. I believe there's a presentation,
Yes?
please.
All right, thank you for the opportunity to share the work that we have done in our district this year around engaging our families and district staff and students as well around the cell phone policy. I want to thank Lisa Camertain for her leadership around this, and she's prepared to also answer any questions that you all may have. We'll start first with providing you with the law that inspired this cell phone policy, AB 3216. It is a legal mandate for all California schools. So all California schools have currently this past year been going through the process of adopting a cell phone policy within their district by July 1st. This legal mandate requires all schools, I already said that. The mental health focus was one of the main provocators of the lawmakers when they went to make this law. They wanted to reduce distractions in the classroom, as well as improving mental health for students, and really providing for their academic focus. There, of course, would be key exceptions for this for IEPs and, any specific instance, they had provisions for that as we formed this policy. So Moreland took on the challenge, and next slide, we formed a committee and had committee meetings and distributed a survey far and wide, and gathered those results and started to formulate our ideas around a policy. And in doing so, we consulted our attorney, Ms. Lori Reynolds, to kind of weigh in on the legality, making sure we were following the expectations of the law and so forth. And then we took that kind of proposed idea, we sometimes call that like a straw draft, to the town hall meeting. The town hall meeting was where everyone was welcome to come and provide their input and discuss kind of the ins and outs of this policy. And then, of course, we're here asking for your approval. Basically, the community feedback we received from Moreland families had three main focuses. The first one, I think parents were still concerned that in a very dire emergency that they would be able to reach their children. So that kind of precluded us from moving towards no phones at school at all, right? So we were listening to that concern. And then there's a strong sense, as the state professed, to mental well-being, that there's cyberbullying that occurs, there's social comparison during a school day on social media, those types of things, and trying to lessen those as much as we could. And that's a concern our entire community, staff and parents felt. And really the desire for academic focus, that we want them off and away and having this bell-to-bell distraction-free environment to maximize personal time. So those were the three main points that parents brought forward from this committee. And so we actually had a cell phone policy in the district, and so we revised that cell phone policy based on what that committee came up with. And some of the things that are in there are listed here. The device scope explicitly covers all smart things. So smart glasses, there's probably some smart thing around the corner that we don't know about that we probably should have said and other. But essentially that concern was with watches and so forth. So we included all of those things. And the off and away standard enforced uniformly during all instructional hours and throughout the day, and including accessories and really a zero tolerance ban for recording, which I think is very important for that cyberbullying and so forth. And we made sure that within the policy, it talked about electronic bullying, so it mentions that and codifies that within the actual policy. There's also discussion of zero liability for lost or stolen devices, because that's always a major concern when students bring an expensive thing like a cell phone to campus. We will continue to review this policy and revise it as needed. And I think that it's also important to see some of the things that were taken out so that you can kind of see what the changes are. And that is that there was a previous allowance for students' phones during lunch and recess and passing periods, and that no longer exists. So they are off and away from bell to bell. And remove some ambiguous search and seizure language, and it kind of rescinded just general teacher use, but specific to an academic purpose, if they have an academic purpose. So one thing I do want to talk about is there is a clear concern that some of the parent community brought up regarding storage of the devices during school. They really wanted, not all, but really were looking for a way to put not just off and away in a backpack, but actually have a storage device that they could store the cell phones in and it would lock. Some districts have adopted such devices. And so that was a recommendation that came from the committee. And we brought that before our administrative team of site principals and assistant principals. And we actually had a presentation of several devices that they could potentially use as an option. And it was nearly universal decision on the administrator's part that this would not be at least at this time, not the best move forward with this cell phone policy to have such a locking device, that it would potentially cause more consternation and challenges than it actually would benefit. And I think that they just imagined their school days that we're trying to unlock and lock or seal and not seal these pockets. And so I think it is more of a decision that we need to just be clear across our district that this policy stands and we will all enforce it, and that we do not necessarily need to pursue some device that may cause us more difficulty. And so we listened to that, and it was difficult. I mean, we definitely hear both ends of that discussion, and I think you never know what it's like to walk in someone's shoes. I have been a site principal. These two also have been a site principal, and you never create a rule that you can't enforce. And that's something that I have always stood by is we need to create rules that we can enforce and that we can manage, that isn't going to actually detract from the learning that we're trying to do. So I think that was the message that we received from our site administrators, and I really do support, I want to support them in that endeavor, because they are the ones that are actually on the ground, enforcing this policy. So I want to thank the members of the committee. It was a lot of good work to come up with some standards and where Moreland was going to stand on this. I think the policy, follows our pattern of board policy, but it includes what the committee really recommended. So I know that you're going to have some comments, but so I will go ahead and allow that and ask for your.
Thank you, Jen.
Blue card?
Yes, we'll go to the blue cards.
All right.
Comments from the public specific to this agenda item.
All right.
Let me start the time.
First up, Sabine.
Hi, I'm Sabine Gouzi, parent of 3 kids and a member of the cell phone policy committee. Well, you know me, I'm your volunteer of the year.
I like that title.
But tonight, I'm upset. I read the cell phone policy and device policy that will be put to vote and will probably approve, and I'm upset about it. What we will present you tonight doesn't reflect the spirit of what the members of the committee collectively agreed and presented to the community and to the public. Our committee meeting started less than 4 months ago. We worked hard in such short time and listened to people to ensure that the policy is responsive to the unique needs and desires of the school community, like the law requires. Staff are the ones with our kids all day long. When they say something, we need to listen, and that's what the committee did. Teachers, principals, and parents expressed that the current implementation of the current policy aren't working, and it's getting worse. So we look at what is done in another area, TK8, and even Prospect High School talked to Lisa, I believe, in hope for a shared solution. The research on improving student concentration, social interaction, mental health, and academic performance is also pretty clear. Our community trusted us to provide solutions. They were hopeful after the town hall. We assured them they were working on a strong policy and on implementation like walkers and coaches. They trusted us. In my opinion, we failed them. With tonight weak and vague policy and the complete lack of real implementation, I believe we're betraying that trust. And this is not the committee's work. Tonight, we will review the LCAP. One of the goals is to retain our amazing teachers. Paying attention to what they have to say is a good first step. Another goal is to raise the level of success for all students. While paying attention to the research and what's happening right now in CK12 will show that you're doing nothing opposite to that goal. I get that you have constraints and that implementation will be messy at first. Of course, it will be messy. Districts all around us have been able to do this year, and it was hard at the beginning, but we should be able to do it too. Lastly, I keep hearing we have to listen to the families that oppose any kind of ban and solutions. None of them have contacted the committee. I don't know where they are. The majority of parents who give devices to their kids don't want them to be used during school time, and they don't want them to be lost or stolen in backpack. But again, we addressed all those points during the committee work. I understand we were only tasked to give a recommendation that could or couldn't be followed. Well, I want to make sure we're clear it wasn't followed. I'm disappointed. Our work was for nothing. That happens. But I feel we let our community down. Still, I am very hopeful. I'm very positive that we can change that. And I'm also hopeful that our work on Chromebook usage and AI will result in huge improvement for our kids, for also our teachers, for our community.
Sabine, 5 seconds.
Okay, thank you for your attention.
Sorry.
Thank you, Sabine.
Great, thank you very much.
Pecklick, saying that correctly?
Hi, my name is Ketlik Altekin, and I'm a hardware engineer. I have one child at BDS and one at Country Lane, and I attended the cell phone town hall meeting. Reading this proposed policy, I feel cheated and disappointed. At the town hall, we were promised stricter disciplinary consequences for casual cell phone use during the school day. All I see is the student may be disciplined and the device may be confiscated. That is not a ban, that's a suggestion. At the town hall, principals, teachers, staff, and parents all appear to favor a bell-to-bell ban. Everyone acknowledged the burden of constant policing placed on teachers without locked pouches. Even the one student committee member said students wouldn't leave an expensive phone in their bag unlocked. They would simply carry it on them. Some facts. Fresno Unified had a loose phone policy, leaving enforcement to individual teachers. A 2025 survey found half of the schools weren't enforcing it at all. Bullard High School was the first public high school in California to use lock pouches. I reviewed their published data. The percentage of students scoring 3 or higher on AP exams went from 20% in 2021 to 55% in 2025. That is what removing distraction looks like. Northgate High School in Walnut Creek reported 33% drop in harassment and 50% drop in bullying after pouches. A smartphone means access to social media, pornography, and addictive AI 24/7. We have 14 years of data on the damage on mental health and attention span. A weak policy normalizes smartphone use, increases peer pressure on kids to have one, and leaves parents who do understand the problem with no option except how long can we keep saying no before we can cave? We may tell ourselves, sure, my child won't open an Instagram account or watch porn, won't be swept up in social media there is, but these are devices engineered by expert teams of psychologists and engineers specifically to drive addiction. Adults with fully developed prefrontal cortexes buy timed phone lock boxes to break their own habits. How can we knowingly ask children who are still developing to exercise that same self-control? The district must act in the best interest of the children. They are the future of this country. Even if we start a proper enforcement policy today, it will take approximately 3 years to see the full benefits. I believe that in 20 years, smartphones and social media as they exist today will be viewed the way we now view smoking, and allowing them in schools will be viewed as secondhand smoke. Doing the right thing should not require waiting for the whole society to understand the evidence. So where does Moreland School District want to stand in history? My ask is simple. Adopt a bell-to-bell ban with lock pouches or lock boxes.
last speaker, Golan. Am I saying that right? Golan? Am I saying it wrong? I'm sure.
No, you're not.
Okay.
Good evening, members of the board. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. I am Gülhan Güney. I live on Bella Drive in Country Lane neighborhood. I have 2 kids in the district. One is about to start Morgan Middle, and the other one will be a 3rd grader in Country Lane. And I am also a software engineer in one of the big tech companies by day, so I feel like I have a pretty good understanding of the technology and benefits and disadvantages. I have also attended the cell phone policy meeting, town hall, to be in the loop. I'm here as a parent in our community to demand stronger action regarding our cell phone policy as well. The current proposal is essentially no major changes from what we already have. And we already know that the status quo is not working. Like right now, more than middle school students admit that they are regularly using their phones under their desks during the class. And like this isn't a failure on part of our teachers who should focus on teaching and not policing. And frankly, it's not the failure of our kids either, because these devices are intentionally engineered to be addictive. And asking children or our exhausting teachers to fight that constant psychological pull on their own is a losing battle. An overwhelming amount of research has proven the severe harms of smartphones on kids' mental health, focus on attention, and social interactions. We must do more to protect them. We have done our homework researching options, and it looks like the best current option available seems like a lock watch system. If I understand correctly, this was also the recommendation of the committee. While any transition takes time and requires adjustments, this is a proven model. School districts nationwide have successfully adopted this system, including our neighbor districts like Santa Clara Unified. If they can prioritize their students' well-being and focus, so can we. And if they can figure out how to lock and unlock a patch, so can we. We don't need a passive policy, we need a concrete structural solution, and please take stronger action on how we implement and enforce this policy and give our kids a distraction-free environment where they can learn and grow. Thank you. And also I want to note one more thing about the question results, especially about the emergency. Like the question was framed as like, why do you want your kid to bring a device to school? And 3 options were for emergencies, for location tracking, and for after-school coordination. There was no option for, I actually don't want my kids to have a device at school. That's why I don't think we can trust the response there. It was a required question. I just picked one of the options to move forward in the questionnaire. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, I'll open this up to the board for any questions.
I'll start. So thank you for the comments. We also received some emails that were in similar feedback. And I just want to start by clarifying or asking for clarification. My understanding is what's before us is the board policy. Policy is intended to be the what of an action. What are we going to do and why are we doing it? And administrative regulation, or what we call an AR, is the how we do it, right? And so I'm hearing a lot about implementation. And so I'm just wondering, am I understanding that right, the difference between the policy and the AR?
Yes, you are. I think that may have been confusing and during the committee work. And so I think that's probably part of the frustration that we're hearing tonight and in the emails.
Okay.
Yes, that is correct. Especially the breakdown of the discipline part, that still exists. The administrators agreed to that, but you're correct. It would not go into a policy per se. It would be an administrative regulation.
But even an implementation of a pouch, for an example, is a decision that can be done within an AR.
Correct.
Not necessarily at policy level.
Correct.
You don't have to, you could say at a policy level, we mandate it in all circumstances that you do that. But typically what you do is say, all right, how do you implement this policy? What is your best recommendation for that implementation thereafter?
Correct.
So normally we wouldn't necessarily be debating a pouch or not pouch at this stage. We would be saying, hey, do we value cell phones or not? And how much fidelity are we going to have in executing, a policy across all sites, right?
And key distinction in the update from our current policy to this is off and away versus bell to bell. Is that fair? The intention is from the very first bell, it's off and away somewhere, and it doesn't come back out until the final bell, or can't come back.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, I do think there's some more work to be done around how we operationalize this in each of our schools. What the principals are asking for is consistency within schools and across schools. And right now it's very inconsistent even within schools. And so I think this policy is a first step in bringing some consistency and some regulation around it. But I do think that there is more work for us to do as an ed service team and as a leadership team to be working with our site principals and more teachers and obviously our family voices so that we can make sure that we're implementing this in the best way that we feel like we can manage both the cell phone usage or not usage and also protecting instructional time and the mental health well-being of our students.
So just to kind of clarify, perhaps for myself, is in the policy, what we're stating is that use of a cell phone by a student during class time is not conducive to learning. So we're saying that's a
not
no.
permitted.
That's no. And I think as parents, as board members, as a parent of two college graduates, I agree that it's not a good thing to be on your phone all the time. But I think, so that I don't think is the question at hand. The question really is, how do we do that? And I think the approval of an agenda, of a policy today does not preclude one way or the other. Right? That could be up for more conversation, more collaboration, and so on.
But to be clear, the off and away includes not just classroom time, but passing periods, lunches, and all of that.
Correct, yes, okay. Yeah.
To me, what an approved policy would mean tonight is that now we need to get to work on an action plan on how we're going to implement this and what will that look like and how will we enforce it. Yeah. And I do think we need some more time with our administrators and our community to do that. I think time did run out at the end of the school year to be able to do a thorough job on that. And so that is my commitment to our families and our educators to be able to move forward and think about how we can continue to engage and look at different options. There's more than two options. Yeah. Right. So let's look at that. Let's talk through them. Let's go see, let's talk to other people and take some time to do this right.
Because I think one thing that I've been hearing is that from school site council leaders as well is consistency is critical, because I think that allows for it to be kind of like almost a best way forward. So I think if we aim for that consistency, then we can definitely look at the house.
And I do want to acknowledge all the work that the committee did, and Lisa also in leading the committee, and a lot of hours were spent and time was spent. So I want to acknowledge the families that are here and the families that, you know, also wrote into the board and cabinet. I do hear you, and I am committed to continue to work with our staff and our leadership team to figure out how we best make sure we can operationalize this in a manner that's consistent and fair and equitable and protects our students' instructional time as well as their mental health well-being.
Yes.
Just for one understanding, just a clarification. So are we done with the studies? Data collection, gathering, analysis, town halls, I heard all of those. Are we still going to go into further studies or looking at best practices from Santa Clara Unified is something that I heard. Are we looking at?
So we did look at.
Oh, we did, okay.
We did look at those. I think what Dr. Cotta is saying is that we are definitely vested in continuing the, so to speak, administrative regulation side. How do we actionalize this policy? The policy is essentially separate from actually how our practices and our implementation, and that we need more time for that. And so I think that's what she was promising the community, is that we will continue this conversation with Amanda and her team, and how we can work with site administrators to, again, implement in a way that feels favorable to our community.
Thank you.
Yeah, I don't, sometimes it feels like there's a big gap between what the community is asking for and what the policy reads. And I feel like, there's no one here who there's not a lot of daylight, actually, generally agree on all those principles related to. So like gathering more data isn't necessarily the issue. The issue is how can we make for a functioning operating environment for kids and families? And we don't have to have answered that today. And I think the feedback is important, that we continue to say we need to see more of that. And certainly the consistency on the campus is actually a distinct difference than what we'd had before. I know if you just read two policies side by side, you think, oh, we've only changed a couple of words in that process, but you've made a meaningful distinction to say this is important. All classrooms are going to abide by it. All sites are going to abide by it. There isn't maybe some teachers will do it their way, and like there is a lot just to that consistency. And so I think we'll take up the debate about, pouches and not pouches, what kind of technology support we can do during the day. Those are all still on the table. I would not read that policy as saying the policy dictates whether we do that or we don't do that. The administrative regulation is what will tell us how we're going to take that policy and put it into classrooms. If I were a parent reading that, what I'd want to make sure is that it was bell to bell, that you see that, and that you're operating with some energy around this, because it's in the best interest of our kids to be protected to the degree they can be protected. We do have to acknowledge our kids are smart, and our kids are foiling many of these devices. That's just a truth. We want them to be resourceful, and it turns out they are. So there's just more to this debate. This tonight doesn't end any portion of that conversation. There will be more to follow on that, and it's related to our entire perspective on technology in the school setting. So I appreciate the level of commitment from parents to come out and voice on behalf of kids, because that advocacy work does matter. Like, it does change people's hearts and minds to see you here tonight and to have you say it matters to us and to write the emails. All that stuff is good work. I wouldn't want you to walk away and say, I wasted my time being on this committee because I didn't see that exact thing actually in print when I was done. Stay with it, and my perspective is you're going to see, because we're all actually very aligned on behalf of students here. So it's always a feeling of like, it isn't exactly what you wanted, but this is the first step in a process, and the process takes a while. So.
And it's not set in stone. We're required to revisit it every 5 years, but that's not to say we couldn't do it more frequently. Absolutely. As this evolves.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And then policy is one part, implementation is everything. So the real work begins. Anyways, I want to say thank you.
Any other questions or comments from the board? Okay.
I just,
Go ahead, please.
I just want to express, I agree with Brian's comments that we're very close in alignment, that I fully am in support of the children being entirely device-free during the school day. I know that there are concerns about, security and things like that, and so I'm hopeful that's something that will be looked at. I'm sure it's something that will be looked at. But one question I do have is with regard to the exceptions in the policy. One of the exceptions is for an emergency. I know we have practices in place for responding to an emergency scenario in the way that parents can reach out to the schools. The other exception is for students who have a medical necessity. And I just wanted to understand that. Is that, for example, like somebody who is diabetic and has, tracking something there? What would be an example, I guess I should ask?
Yeah, that could be one of the examples, depending on what the IEP says.
Okay.
Sometimes there's an accommodation in there that might be related to access to a device.
Okay.
And so that would also be an exemption for the student for the policy. Sometimes in 504 plans for students, and the 504 plans more impact a student in general education, but they have that plan with accommodations in there. It could be written in there, and then we as district staff, site staff would follow that as direction as an exemption for the students as well.
Thank you.
Did you have a comment or a question? Yes.
Just a quick question. Is there a timeline for the implementation requirement?
Yes,
So that-
it has to be passed by July 1st,
Oh, July
so
1st.
it will start for the.
The policy.
Just
The policy,
has
not
to
the
pass
implement-
correct
okay.
implementation.
But that's what triggers the work
I feel
towards
like that's
implementation.
what triggers the work, and as Sabine said, it will be messy, and so we have more work to do.
So once again, what we're approving today is the policy that would kickstart the process towards the AR and everything.
Correct.
Yeah, okay. Having said that, do I have a proposal, do I have a motion to approve the cell phone policy proposal?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
I second.
All right, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, thank you. 6B, move to 2026-2027 LCAP report.
Right? Settle in. Right? Tonight, we are presenting the 2026-27 Local Control Accountability Plan, also called the LCAP. It serves as our strategic roadmap and aligns our goals, actions, services, and budget to improve student outcomes. This presentation will highlight our progress areas of need, stakeholder input, and proposed actions for the coming year, as well as a little bit about the federal addendum and our local indicators and the parent budget overview with Chris Barbera will be presenting. So this is our second year of implementation of the LCAP, this particular LCAP, and that Destiny Ortega was, seems like a long time ago, but she was the actual one who created the initial LCAP, and we revised it now. This is our second revision of it, and next year will be our final year for this LCAP. And Amanda will get to write a new LCAP in conjunction with her colleagues up here. Again, the LCAP primarily relies on the dashboard as indicators of our student success. And so I will be sharing some of those with you, as well as we have metrics that align with our actions to measure the success of our actions. We will be going through some of the changes tonight that our stakeholders and partners have suggested to us, and as well as some of our successes in the data. So let's get started. All right. So the annual update is just kind of a summary of our progress. We have, again, a strong performance in the green category on the dashboard of student achievement in ELA and math. So our entire district is performing in the green. Another shining spot for us is our implementation of the new writing units and our foundational literacy that occurred this year. So those are also highlights. I'd also like to point out our EL, Hispanic, and LTEL groups all improved. And usually what that means is they changed colors from where they were performing in English language arts. So that's a big success for those groups. In the area of climate.
Jen, do you want us to ask questions as we go along, or pause and ask?
I think
again?
it's easier to just go as we go,
Okay,
because it's kind of like,
okay, that's fine. No, I just wanted to ask before.
yeah, okay.
Thank you.
In the area of climate, our chronic absenteeism has decreased by 0.09 district-wide and 2% for Hispanic students. So that is also exciting. We have implemented our behavior support model at every school in the district, which is a huge shift for us. we're excited about that and how that's shaping our district for the better. And Giselle's still here, so I'll definitely shout out our MORE program, serving record 1,550 students. And that extended day program, and as well as our after-school support enrichment classes. And so that is phenomenal work. So thank you, Giselle, who's here with us. And then we also have some areas for growth. And I think we have seen a decline in certain student groups in ELA and math. And it's specifically our homeless youth are performing in the red in English, and our socioeconomic disadvantaged. And our socioeconomic disadvantaged students actually on the CASP test last year had a significant drop. And so that's something we really need to keep our eye on moving forward, and to see really what caused that. And as we get the results in from this year's test, make sure that we are looking at that and really trying to examine what we're doing for our students, or maybe perhaps what we're doing that's not working for our students' socioeconomic disadvantage. We also have in math, our homeless youth, again, in red, and our LTELs performing in red. So that is some focus areas where we will want to focus our improvement, which we are doing, but it's something that we need to, again, put extra emphasis on. In terms of,
Sorry, just clarify, obviously being in the red is not great. It was, we went down. Were these students already in the red, or were they, do you know? That's okay, if you.
Okay, I don't know off the top of my head, but I do have the information in the actual LCAP.
That's right.
So I could find it for you.
That's okay.
Okay. Yeah, I know right where it is. It's,
Sorry to catch you off.
yeah, it may take me a second just to find it, but,
Please, yeah,
okay,
we're good. Thank you.
no problem. And then suspension is an area that we have for growth all the way around. We have increased 2% for all students. And our LTEL and students with disabilities have also increased and moved into the red. So that means they were in the orange previously. So those are areas that we need to focus on, and thus we will move to kind of the budget overview for parents.
So as we go into the 26-27 LCAP, it's a very lengthy document. So there is a budget overview for parents, which is kind of a snapshot at just kind of the numbers. So what that does, it just gives you a projected revenue, budget expenditures, compares budget expenses with actual expenses, and equates increase to improve services for high school. So the one that we share with you tonight is kind of the overview projected revenues. So the pie on the left kind of gives you your total revenues. And then we break it out based on LCFF funds. And of those LCFF funds, that little small slice of about 3.7 million goes to the high needs students. So that's a minimum of what we need to spend in order to improve services on our high need.
Obviously, in that governor's may revise, you end up with, some additional special funding for special needs.
Mm-hmm.
How did that come down, and how's it impacting our view of LCAP?
So that funding, are you referring to the special ed increase? So that's separate from the supplemental. So this is not necessarily SPED.
No, I'm just saying like that, those dollars, how are you, I'm thinking about some of the needs that were just highlighted in the LCAP that probably have some overlap between those two.
Mm-hmm.
How are you thinking about that funding? First of all, is the LCAP driving how you're going to spend those additional dollars, or is there a different thought on how?
Once we get confirmation that we have those additional dollars, then we're going to start having that conversation.
You have trust issues.
I do have trust issues, correct. So once we get that, we did assume some of it, but once we get that, we are going to start looking at how can we use that to, one, on our sped students. And then how do we use it in intervention to try to prevent students reporting, especially if possible?
May I add? I think that, just to your point, Brian, so I think the tension for us is the increased amount of general education funding that we're spending on special education services and supports. And so that continues to grow. So on the one hand, there will be some offset of the new additional monies. On the other, we've been working really hard to intervene, especially when it comes to chronic absenteeism and behavior. And so our behavior support model was a huge investment that we used to be able to try to change some of these outcomes. So we're still committed to that. So how we shift funding, I think the ideas that are coming out of the legislature to be more preventative are things that we are doing. So we don't want it to just supplant the new funding. We don't want it to just supplant our general fund, but those are really good questions. But I do want you to know that the strategies that we're putting in place in our LCAP, they are intended and aimed at the students who are in these subgroups to be able to bring those up. I think the question I have is, it doesn't seem to be working. Some of our strategies don't seem to be working. So I think we need to take a hard look at when we write the new LCAP this year and we get feedback, what are we going to do differently to make a difference for kids?
Yeah, so I agree with all of that. I guess my question was, did it come with strings? I just want to know if I didn't hear any strings so that it could be fully implemented. I know we have an encroachment, so it doesn't shift the fact that we're already still underfunded on the same thing. I just want to know if we're going to have to use dollars to specifically address specific things or not.
No, you'll hear it in the budget report too, kind of the main reasons. Okay.
It's flexible.
But I guess there's two parts to this, right? If you look at the two reds, there's like absenteeism and then there's performance in the classroom once the kids are there. Both are related. Challenge number one, reduce absenteeism so that kids actually show up in the classroom. And once they're there, are they getting all of the support, et cetera, that they need? And I guess your question is the funding going to go to support both? Yeah, and we don't know that yet.
Correct.
I would say yes.
Well, it will.
Yeah.
I'm from the government, I'm here to help you.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
That's it.
Heather, I was able to find that, and our socioeconomic students did move from yellow to orange. And so
What does that mean?
Blue is the top, green, then yellow, orange, red.
Okay.
So those kind of the order. So if you drop a category, then that is concerning. And so all of the ones that I mentioned there had dropped a category.
Okay.
And so that's something we need to keep our eyes on. Our students with disabilities as well, in chronic absenteeism is something that we will be focusing on specifically with the county because we had been in red for 2 years on that particular area.
Thank you.
Yes. So moving on, the stakeholder engagement remains at the center of the LCAP process where we go out and get input. And so we did our survey and you can see there were 502 responses. We engaged our parent group. Heather, you were there for that really robust conversation with parents, and a lot of what was said in that meeting came to fruition in changes in the LCAP, which I will share with you shortly. And we have a whole process also. We work with the SELP and the county and also our principals and district office staff. We also shared it at our exec board meeting, some of the survey responses and in the data. So we were able to really kind of cover the gamut of our stakeholder engagement. Here are a couple things that came from the open-ended survey. Oops, just one back. That basically that there's a focus on technology and academic rigor that the parents had. So that's, the academic rigor has been a constant in the last 2 years, that there's a strong focus on that. But the technology is a new piece that was very prominent in both our, discussion with the Principals Council, as well as, or the President's Council, as well as with the survey. And then when we engaged our students, they're very cute because they do always mention lunch as a concern, but they really, really, truly value their friendships and their teachers, and most of them would name teachers by name that have cared about them or made a difference for them. So those are just a couple things I wanted to share. But our overall, if I could kind of consolidate all of our stakeholder engagement, it kind of boils down to these 4 things that came up as prominent for us to consider. And that is really this engaging and having rigorous learning environments for kids, and the digital literacy and screen time, student belonging and supports continues to be paramount importance, and competitive salaries. And that was actually stressed by parents and staff. As you know, the LCAP goals are aligned with our strategic plan. And so we have the 5 goals, and then we have actions under each of the goals. And so what I will now go through is what are the changes and to each of the actions within these goals. So we'll start with number 1. So what you will see is that the actual changes are bolded, and so I will speak to those actual changes, and to your right, you'll see the full action overview, which includes all of our actions for that goal. Because of the comments and the contributions that we heard around technology, we've changed a couple things, but specifically in action 3, we added, while being mindful of screen time, to the beginning of this. And then it says, while being mindful of screen time, we will incorporate next generation technology and tools to support student learning and critical thinking by ensuring intentional technology integration. So that speaks to what the parents' concern was, is too much screen time and overuse of technology. And so we wanted to insert that to honor those requests that we had from parents. Also, we added 2 new actions. These are going to be funded by LREBG funds, Learning
Recovery.
Emergency Block Grant. And I think these are great because these are also things that were brought up by our needs assessment that we did to really examine our data and what are some of the areas that we could use some extra help, as well as our stakeholder engagement data. The new principal support, this is to support educators' understanding of MTSS with a specific focus on integrating data collection, including universal screening, diagnostics and progress, monitoring to inform alignment of initiatives, intervention supports and resources. It supports site leaders' capacity to implement continuous improvement processes at all levels of the system, with a specific focus on increasing educators' data literacy, data analysis skills to inform decisions appropriate for each tier of delivery of ELA and math. So that's a lot, but what it really boils down to is we have really invested in our district in our data collaboration days, where we work with teachers to look specifically at their data. And we have partnered with Partners in School Innovation, and their expertise in guiding our administrators to work with the data and to work with their teachers and really improve that process so that it could be more effective use of our time, and that it really can catapult us into looking at the data and then what do we do as a result of looking at that data to change our practice and change the outcomes for students. So this is an exciting goal and an exciting use of our emergency block grant funds.
So 14 and 15 are brand new.
They are brand new.
Okay,
They are brand new. They're all bolded.
yeah. And MTSS, what does that stand for?
Multi-tiered support system.
Asking for session.
Use that for a little while.
I know, for the next couple of years.
All right, and then 15 is a similar data production and tier 1 and 2 support. This would provide a TOSA to support our educators with the data production, and that means helping to actually produce the data and transpose it for the use of our administrators, as well as providing teachers with support and alignment and coaching with their interventions. This is a very valuable resource for all of our schools in terms of having a TOSA that could be there to support them with a variety of different needs as they come up, but also especially supporting our initiatives that we have implemented, such as the new math curriculum. And I believe it is, I think, up for approval, our TOSA on the agenda this evening. Has a lot of expertise in the area of math. So as we introduce this new math curriculum, it's a great opportunity to have someone to support our teachers in that respect.
I guess I have a question. There's 15 actions to support the goal 1. I mean, obviously that's the number 1 goal for the school district, is to make sure that our students are academically prepared when they walk out. Is there, I mean, in your assessment, or at least again, I don't know how we would even say this, of these 15, is there one lever that probably has the biggest impact? And how do we kind of, is that even?
I think that's a great question, and I think that's something that we really need to dig into a little bit more in terms of what are the actions that are creating the most positive impact. Clover wants to add something.
Yeah, so I will just add to that. When I read 14 and 15, it looks like a bunch of words. And so I'd like to translate that a little bit for our new board trustee, of course, and for anyone that's out in the audience listening. So a really key lever, first of all, tier 1 core classroom instruction is the only thing that will change outcomes for kids. When you have 50% of our students that are not meeting standard, it is not about the amount of interventions and the type of intervention. You can't intervene your way out of 50% of your kids not meeting standard. So we really have to focus in with our principals and our teachers and using and looking at where are our students, what are the skills that they're missing, how do we design our instruction during these data collaboration days to make a difference in the general ed core classroom instruction. And I think we have put a lot of effort and weight on interventions and have been relying on interventions to bring about change. And I think we need to make a shift to having our principals really honing in and focusing on tier 1 core instruction. And that's what 14 is really trying to get at in layman's terms. That's what I would say is your number 1 key lever.
Yeah.
The data collaboration days are a key lever. Research would tell you when teachers are meeting with their grade level colleagues, they're looking at the student work, the student assessments at the different reading and math and writing, and then having conversations about how they could change instruction in the classroom to meet the needs of the differentiated needs of the students. That's another key lever. So there are some real key levers here that research will tell you and make a difference for kids. And I think we need to hone in on those a little bit more because you can't do 15 things well.
That's exactly what I was getting at, because it is, does it distract us from our goal by peanut buttering our approach? It's just like there's so many different ways. It's like, okay, 15 things that I got to do, and which one of these is the most effective? And to your point, how do we hone in on that to be able to say, yes, this makes the biggest impact, therefore deserves the biggest amount of time or attention to the matter. Does that make sense?
Yep, absolutely. And I think, as you know, the LCAP provides funding, right?
Yeah.
And so we don't, so this is the goal. We don't number them and say, this is the goal that's the most important, or so forth. We just list all of them. But yes, I think what Clover is saying is that is the lever for us to make the biggest difference. Okay,
Thank you.
moving on to goal 2. Okay, in action 4, we made this change, and this was feedback from our parents, I think, but also our students, and it did come up on the survey as well, is to add this phrase, expand career exploration and engage students in addressing real-world challenges. And I think that really kind of connects to our world today, that there are a lot of challenges, and really preparing our kids to start thinking about those challenges and engaging students in that exploration, even at younger ages. And their awareness, but also engaging their intellectual minds and critical thinking around some of these issues. So that was in response to feedback. And action 5, again, this comes back to our technology concerns. Online safety and responsibility, further empower students to navigate safely and practice digital empathy and ethical use. So again, I think that the concept of how do we have our students really understand how best to be using technology, to be educated in safety, as well as ethics. And I think we're really excited to have the AI committee next year that will really dive into this at a much deeper level. And I think you will probably continue to see something like this in the new LCAP that's produced next year, because I think it's going to be an ongoing issue that we are facing. All right.
Just a quick question, why next year?
Why the AI committee next year?
Why, yeah,
That's just a timing.
timing? Oh, start of in fall. Oh, okay.
Yeah, our next year's start is September.
Yeah, our year, yeah, August, really. So when we say next year, we mean August.
Okay.
Welcome to a whole world.
Of acronyms, of timelines.
School.
Full year. Thank you.
All right. So in goal 3, we just made this one change in terms of this action regarding our mental health, and to address mental health needs of all students by providing social, emotional, and behavioral support. I think post-COVID here, we've seen a real shift in behavior and challenges, and you saw the suspension rate increase. And so there are more than one answer. We have our curriculum that we introduced this year, Character Strong, but we also introduced this behavior model. And it's a huge investment to support our students and our teachers in understanding behaviors and how mental health is connected to that. And so we wanted to make sure that we are including our behavior support model within this action, so that we weren't just talking about the traditional mental health counselor. We're also encompassing this behavior model, which is so important when we're talking about addressing the whole child.
I'm glad to see it. I'm really glad to see it. Obviously, it's an ongoing focus of ours, but it's similar to being hungry, right? You can't learn if you're hungry. You can't learn if you're struggling. And so I appreciate the focus.
Great. Thank you. All right, goal 4. So we added this action regarding student progress. We heard a lot of feedback from parents that we want to know more about their learning and continued understanding of their expectations and their progress, and providing clear information about how they're doing. And we also, as a staff, had some training around making sure that we're sharing information that's poignant to parents. And so we added this student progress to increase the transparency around student learning and expectations. And so I think that's a viable one. And it's also something we measure on the Panorama survey, parents' input. So we're able to measure that as well. So excited about that new action.
How would this look for a parent? How would this look different for a parent moving forward? Is it more meetings with the teachers, or is it more communications? Is it more data? What does that look?
I think it's kind of both.
Okay.
We have started this year sending things digitally, like the iReady reports and more information. But we'd like to have even increase our practices around educating parents around what those actually mean, and having opportunities for parents to learn, because, like, you know, as we talk about not knowing education speak, we look at those things and we understand them because we've been looking at them for a long time, but a lot of parents do not understand what they mean, and when they should be worried or not worried, et cetera. And so that's the meeting part is important, whether that's coming from the district office level or the parent conferences and opportunities at the school site to learn about those things from their teacher. So it's just increasing, having an extra focus on that and how we can help provide clear communication with our families.
Yeah. And I think this is the reason why I also asked that, is because we want to be sensitive and balance this with a calendar and a schedule for a teacher that's already jam-packed.
Right.
Now, how do we kind of say, hey, go do all of these additional things when their day is already full? So it just means we need to find the right balance to be able to say, how do we get more? Is technology a good way here to kind of like use tools that get this out there? I don't know the answer to that, and I'm definitely not proposing anything at all, but it's just like I want us to think about it from a balanced perspective.
Absolutely.
Appreciate the look towards tools, you know, really meaningful tools. And I'm just reminded of the math curriculum, sending out the parent letter, because you've got to start somewhere.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, and then our final goal, which is around attracting and retaining our staff. What we actually changed was the title of this, from staff recruitment and retention to recruiting and retaining staff. So
Why?
it's a little shift, but I think it's something that we really, it's something that HR has really been focusing on, and I think you saw that with their recruitment fair here, and it made a difference. In terms of feedback from the principals, they were delighted by that, and I think that we have to continue to focus on new and better ways to really do those two things, as recruit and retain our staff. All right, that's the most fun part.
I just had a broad question on all of these 5 goals. And I kind of go back to that action overviews that we've had for each one of these. There's a large number of them when you sum total it all. When you guys went through it, have you looked at any and said this no longer makes sense and take them out and say, because we always seem to be adding on to our list, and I'm like, is there an opportunity to say, well, this didn't work, we'll take it out?
Absolutely. And that should be part of the process. And I think that we probably could do a better job at doing that. I think that is the educator's fault in general, is that we're always willing to add more and not take off.
Yeah.
And I think we do examine whether something is working or not. And so I think that is a good challenge for us moving forward, is to realize, hey, you know what, this is not worth our time, and it's not working for kids.
Or the environment has changed,
Right.
the needs have changed, so many things, right? You know, nothing stands still.
Absolutely. Yep.
Sounds like in the SIPSAs, right? The long list of things that continue to be added, and not really wanting to let go of other things, but working smarter, not harder.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Absolutely. Thank you.
I think focusing on goals 3, 4, and 5 you'll get 1 and 2 in your hand.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yep. All right, so moving on to the federal addendum. The federal addendum to the local control accountability plan is a supplemental document required for local educational agencies that receive federal funds under Title 1-4, kind of similar to the CONAP that we just did, of the Elementary and Secondary Education Act. It describes how the district uses the federal funds to support the goals and the actions in LCAP, ensuring alignment with the state and federal requirements. So this does not change much. It's mostly informational in terms of how we spend, generally how we spend those funds from these titles. So first, Title I, we have a lot of different student supports for our low-income students. Family engagement is one. We also support our ELAC and some of our parent engagement classes. We also have extra support for our STEM, like in Project Lead the Way for our elementary school at Latimer. We also have some teachers on special assignment that are funded at Anderson that definitely make a difference and are important to include as ways that we spend our Title I money. Next slide. And Title II. Title II, we focus on our BIDSA and teacher induction and our EPIC program that we can support our teachers, that they can have mentors. We use some of the funds for that. We also use it for professional development and implementing our math curriculum for next year. And site leaders also have continuous improvement to make informed decisions about their instruction. And we use that for data collaboration days. We were talking about earlier. Title III. Title III is primarily our English learner supports. And so we have some of our curriculum that is in Title III. We also have been funding our new STARI program at MMS that has been very successful out of our Title III money. Next. Okay. Okay. Well, there's a little more on Title III. Yes. So we also work to, and I think this is part of employee funding, but provide our teachers with LPAC scores and data on our multilingual learners. And Title IV, we use the funding to support our elementary music program, and we're able to combine that with MEF funding and Prop 28, and we're able to keep a full-time performing teacher because of it. So that's a great way that we use that money, those money. All right, next. Okay, another part of this LCAP process is looking at our local indicators. In the local indicators are self-reported measures that allow school districts to evaluate their report on certain priorities. And these are the 5 priorities that you see on the right. These are the state measures that we look at within the LCAP. So these are kind of additional and other indicators, as you can see, the broad course of study, school climate, parent engagement, the state academic standards, and the basic service and conditions for learning. Next slide. All right. So on this slide, you see that we have met our goals, and I'm going to go more into detail on each of these areas. Next slide. Okay, so in goal number 1, the implementation of standards, we have already set a lot of plans for next year. We have our staff onboarding. We have all of that training for our new folks in terms of early literacy, in terms of our behavior team. We will continue to have behavior training throughout the year. We also will have district-wide training in math. And that's something that I talked about when we had the math adoption. We actually had math training today and yesterday. We had exceptional reviews on the new curriculum and the training. We had all positive reviews, so I'm excited that that's a good start for our math training. And we also have several other things that we are looking at in terms of the optional PD that you have listed there that we've mapped out for the year. We're excited about. All right. Access to a broad course of study. We have several of these things, including Spanish. Even though we've had to make some cuts in Spanish, we still are maintaining Spanish at our schools. And we still have our music in grades 4 to 8, which is very exciting. And as I mentioned, the performing arts, our arts program is very strong and robust, something that we're always proud of in Moreland. We continue to have the elective options for our students at Latimer and EDS, where they are able to choose a variety of things, and they rotate through them, and so they're exposed to them. One concern that does come up is that we, in the middle school, they are limited to one elective option, and so that at MMS is, continues to be something that kids want more, that comes up. But
One elective option per semester for that middle school or for that year of middle school?
well, it's per semester, but also per year that they get to participate in.
The real challenge is that they're choosing music.
Mhm.
That's right.
That makes it hard to choose something else.
And a general question on the status, is it binary? Is it like met, not met, or is it like,
Yes.
is there a grade to it?
It is met, not met, and they have a criteria that you go through.
Okay,
So there's a whole criteria that you kind of fill out
okay,
to ensure that you're meeting them, and then we also report them to the dashboard. So that's actually one of my tasks this week that I need to finish before I go, but I was waiting until after we hopefully approve the LCAP tonight.
okay.
All right, so we are on goal 3 and 5. All right, so this is that we have our instructional materials and our facilities. We have always in the LCAP, we measure the 100% across the board in terms of having our curriculum supplied. And then we also talk about teachers, if we have adequate teachers, and we have a very high rating in that area as well. And we just had one misassignment this year, and it was, Tasha.
It was an ESN class where the teacher left in August, and then we replaced it with a new teacher in September, October-ish. And that teacher didn't have her CLAD certificate, even though we were working with her to get her CLAD certificate. So since she didn't have her CLAD certificate, even though she was fully credentialed to teach the class, it becomes a misassignment. So it wasn't a vacancy. There was a teacher in the class who jumped in, but she didn't have her CLAD.
Cool. Okay. Now, what's the difference between this regular certification and CLAD?
You need your CLAD to, most of us have it. So most of the new teachers all have it included in their teacher credential as part of it. It's culturally language aware, so that you're inclusive of all cultures, all language, so that you're able to teach students who are speaking English, who are from different backgrounds than you, making sure your classroom is culturally aware environment that's welcoming for all students, which we always want to prioritize in Moreland. But if you come from out of state, which is teacher did, you don't always have your CLAD. So teachers from out of state don't always have CLAD. And
Okay.
yeah, just California.
It's a special.
Pretty much. So this teacher,
Different things in other states,
Yeah.
but we have a special California.
the teacher who took over the ESN class in, I forget if it was September, October, was from other state.
How do they obtain their CLAD?
They have to take classes and get certified. It's a few classes.
All right, and then the final part of this that ensures why we met it is the fit for the facilities inspection. And we would at all schools, which is a great achievement as well.
Just a general question. One, is there anything that was preventing us from getting to that exemplary? Is it like this? I know some of the things on some of the sites were like, grounds, for example, at EDS or things like that. Is there anything that was like, hey, this is the shortfall, which is why you didn't make the exemplary?
I think it's just the age of the schools. I mean, it's going through the carpets. We're constantly going through, trying to update when we can.
Okay.
As you know, it's expensive to any project.
For sure.
What we're doing. And so those would be some of the things we look at. I mean, the schools are in great shape when we go through, but there are, those normal wear and tears that we need to be aware of.
Yeah.
It's hard to keep up for that exemplary every school. So.
Well, thank you for this.
All right, and in goal 3, which is our local climate goal, our panorama survey results, we dropped 2 in belonging, which isn't a huge mark, but something to think about because that's something we focus on. We actually had professional development on that, specifically in our kickoff day, we had a belonging session. And so I just think that that's something that I would want to watch if that continued to drop because that's very important for kids. But it also is great that we increased by 1% in school and kids feeling safe at school. But we still, based on the criteria, met this standard. All right, and then in terms of parent engagement, we have a whole lot of data there from our families on our perception survey. And I think that we increased in parents feeling like they have input in impacting decision-making at their school. No change in feeling their school does a good job of sharing academic progress. I have to note 97% is extremely high in that because this is a nationally normed survey. And then 98% believe their school is a safe learning environment. Again, dropped, but still a very high percentage. 79% feel the school values their cultural background is up 1%, and that their school has clear communication to support student learning, up 1%. Yes, sir.
What's the percentage of the parent participation in these surveys? What is the sample size?
Do you know the number off your top of your head?
I mean, is this the same numbers that's on slide 10, which is?
No,
That's
this is
different.
not. This is our panorama survey.
Okay.
The perception survey that we send the school climate out to all staff. And so I don't know what the participation rate was.
I can tell you if you need 30 seconds.
Okay.
No worries, we can follow up later. Just curious because statistics can be.
She can circle back. We'll move on and we'll get back to it. But I think
903 family responses this year.
Oh, okay. And do you have the breakdown in terms of the demographics, like EL versus?
I don't know if we break it down that
We
way
don't-
because I believe it's an anonymous survey, so it's not broken in that way. But I'd be happy to get more info. But we had 903, and I don't have our total number of families this year.
No.
So I had about 24% was our overall family response rate this year. So,
Thanks.
sure.
So can you remind me of the timing? So the, several of the indicators are at the end of last year, right? Versus, okay, so.
Great question.
Thank you.
It's very confusing to some degree because some of our indicators are from last year, like our CASP scores.
Yes.
So those are from last year, but the panorama is from this year. So this has just happened in the spring.
Okay.
And so those are very current. Our data for like our MORE program is from this year. Our LPAC and EL data is from this year. So it's really mostly the CASP, but the dashboard also reflects last year. So those are important things to understand, that kind of difference between them. And as we move into our last indicator to share with you is our SARS McKinney-Vento. data, and this is just a number of 156 students that we served that were McKinney-Vento this year. That's a lot.
Yeah, it's
A lot.
overall for the school district. I would say that in the spring, just within the last 2 months also, there've been a lot of changes in terms of families being displaced, moving out of the area, and us supporting families that way to just make sure that we can get them to school and keep their attendance as consistent as possible.
So McKinney-Vento is for our homeless and foster youth.
And then our SAR referrals, and this is again for attendance. These are referrals that the sites make to the district office they need more assistance with a chronically absent student. And so those are the numbers from our schools that were submitted this year. And at that point, we don't refer them right away to the county. What we do is we try to find services for them. And Lisa, that's a big part of Lisa's job, is to intervene, and perhaps it's transportation, sometimes it's wraparound types of services, whatever resources that they need, so that she can help them and connect them with what their need is, depending on what that is.
And when we have a number like 11 for Moreland, is that one student, or is it one instance of this? So if a student was chronically absent and we're like unable to do them, and we do the SARB referral, and they get better, but then they go back.
Right.
Is that two or is that one?
So at this point, when we consider that number, that was after engaging the family at the site level with an attendance meeting and providing interventions and supports that way.
Okay.
And then the truancies increased. So then it triggers another meeting, and then it also, it escalates, and this is the point of like probably the third meeting.
Okay.
With the family, and there still hasn't been any growth that's been made, so then we will set up a SARB meeting at that point. I usually offer them monthly for all of our sites. It depends on the number. Sometimes there are months where we might only have one, and some months it might increase. And that also is dependent upon during our holiday breaks. And you might see a spike in the numbers because of vacations and other things, illnesses, especially during the winter months.
Yeah.
Where you might see a higher number of SARB hearings that I might be facilitating.
But to answer the question, those are individuals, not
Correct.
Yeah, each individual. Yeah.
So are these schools, elementary schools, feeding into middle school? Do you see any correlation there in terms of the candidates?
Yeah, just based on just monitoring patterns and trends. There are trends when they were in elementary school, and habits and routines haven't adjusted or changed.
Okay.
Yeah, so it falls through. So it might not just be 1 year of truancies. It's over a course of time.
Yeah.
Where we've tried to engage the family and try to help support them. But there are a lot of outside factors that might impact their truancies through their home environment, any traumas that have happened over the course of the years that also are impactful to their attendance as well.
All right, thank you. Which brings us to the last slide, just thank you. This LCAP plan reflects stakeholder engagement, a lot of looking at surveys and looking at data and making comparisons and analyzing what needs to happen next, and working with Chris, running around the corner and finding where our budget is with this and what needs to change there. The plan celebrates meaningful progress and also looks at some of the areas we need to improve. And I think we need to keep our eye on those things moving forward next year and we create that next LCAP. In particular, I think we need to pay attention to our English learners and our low-income students. Those are our priorities for us. Having said that, I think that LCAP does reflect our needs and assesses some of our successes and kind of points us into that final year of this particular LCAP. And so we respectfully recommend that the board approves the 26-27 local control accountability plan for Lawrence School District.
Before I open this to public hearing where even the public and the board will have an opportunity to comment, are there any questions from the board based on what we've heard?
Good to ask them along the way. Thank you.
Yes. Okay. So having said that, we will now hold a public hearing for the 2026-2027 LCAP. The hearing is now open as of 7:59. Are there any comments from the public or board? Do it.
Do it.
The pressure. We will now close the hearing at.
That was the weakest. Honest to God.
Yeah, like,
There's another.
do you need me to model?
That was,
No. There is another public hearing.
Oh, okay.
That was just a warm-up.
Okay.
The next meeting, Chris will ask for approval.
Can I have a motion to approve the 2026?
No,
Oh, sorry.
we will approve it in the next meeting.
Right, we present it now, have a public hearing, and then the next meeting.
board meeting
Oh, okay.
is the action.
All right, so this should, I should cross this out then. For the next one too. Is it, I'm assuming it is the same for the.
That's right.
Moving on to 6E. Which is the budget hearing.
All right, so I'll present to you the budget for 26-27. I think it's good that we're easing 6 on one of our shortest meetings of the year. This is good. I really ease you into it.
I also don't think we should take offense to the audience.
And I think we should.
Well, good Amanda and Efren. I'll start off just by thanking Efren. He's our director of fiscal. He approves for my trust issues. So we work on this together to get this budget.
validates you. Yes, I understand.
All right, so what you're going to see tonight is we'll give you a quick May revised update that kind of affects our assumptions moving forward, the 26-27 assumptions, multi-year, funding sources that help us run our programs, and then our next steps. As you look at the years, we do in education fiscal years from July 1st through June 30th. So I'll give a little more detail just in case for Seishan, just because he's. All right, so the May revise came out. So as you know, in January, the governor comes out with his budget, gives us some rough numbers, and then over the next 5 months, they look to see if they can actually afford what he projected. And then he comes out with the May revise, which gets a little bit closer. Then the legislation and assembly all kind of fight over it, and then June 30th is when they need to approve the state budget. But this gives us a good, strong kind of understanding of where we were headed with the budget. So what the governor has proposed is a 4.31% COLA. So that's a 2.87 statutory COLA with an additional 1.44% added to LCFF. And the intent for that extra 1.44 is to help with declining enrollment, increased costs. There's a 14-week pregnancy leave that's in legislation. So if that passes, that's to help fund that extra cost for that. So that's where the governor was leading with that extra 1.44. And that only applies to LCFF. The other fundings like special ed, child nutrition, the ones kind of listed below, besides state preschool, it's a little bit lower, Those bottom ones are the 2.87%.
So, and just so that I understand, the 4.3% increase then sets the base for next year, right? So it's not like a,
Yeah, this is ongoing.
Ongoing.
Yeah, ongoing funds, exactly. So this is added to the LCFF. This is
Okay.
4.31, and these are ongoing funds. So yeah, so that sets the base for next year.
For next year.
And then
Okay.
for those out years, you'll see we add those extra codes. Another proposal is funding special ed. We all know that special ed has been underfunded for years, so this is a good step towards it. And so currently we're at 917. It's projected to be 1,340, and that's per ADA. So I'll talk about some assumptions with that amount. And again, that's ongoing, so that's going to be next year and
per ADA per year?
so whatever. So if we had 1,000 kids, we multiply by that. That's what we get for funding for special ed.
Okay.
Still not enough, but it's a good start. Okay. What he's also proposed, these next two are one-time funds. And so he actually increased it from the January budget up to $5 billion for a discretionary grant, which is fully discretionary. So there isn't any strings attached to that, but it is one-time money. And then he also proposed paying back the Learning Recovery Block Grant. So if you remember back in I think it's 2023, we had some money. California wasn't looking too good with its projections, so they pulled some back. So this is to kind of repay that, so to fully fund.
And both those, I'm assuming, are one time.
Yeah, so the last two, the $5 billion and this is all state. Overall, we're not getting $5 billion per district. That'd be great. But as a state, this is all state things. I'll talk about kind of what we're going to get.
That was going to be my next question.
Yeah, we're going to get to that, but yeah, it's fine. So, yeah, the last two, the $5 billion and the $757 million are one time.
Okay.
So we'll get that. We'll have like 3 years to spend it.
Got it.
Some stipulation on how long. Just okay. All right, so then we look at what our district assumptions are. So again, we applied the 4.31% COLA. Funded ADA is 3,633.99. So as you know, we're funded based on our average daily attendance. And so what that means is, how often do the students actually show up? So if you get $100 per student, but they show up 95% of the time, you get $95. So that's how we're funding. A few years back, you would get the current year ADA with declining enrollment. What they've done is you're going to either use the current year, prior year, or a 3-year average, whichever one is higher. So we use the 3-year average for our funded ADA. And as you'll see, when we use our multi-year projection, you're going to see that goes down because we do have declining enrollment. Yeah. So those higher years fall off, meaning your average goes down. Okay. Our unrestricted revenues is looking about 50.5 million. And I do have an appendix that shows the exact numbers if you want to dive into it. So it's a little different than what we used to do. And we are projecting an ending fund balance of about 2.9 million at the end of 26-27. It's important to know, though, we don't have any negotiated settlements for any of the bargaining units for 26-27. So although we have a 2.9 ending fund balance, we don't have, the negotiation settlements are going to take a big chunk of that.
So there's a star next to it.
Star next to it. I'll talk about that. And so based on some of the assumptions for the special ed revenue, we assumed about 700,000 increase in our revenue. That's a conservative number. It's my trust issues, Brian, so I apologize. Probably come in a little bit higher. 3 million in the discretionary block grant. So that's pretty close to what we were. So that's my boss telling me this is what we need to do. So that one is pretty solid, I think. And then the 735 is the remaining amount that is owed to us. So that's a full number. So again, we're ending with 2.9 in 26-27, but again, we don't have any negotiated settlements. So that's going to be an impact.
So the 3 million is without strings attached, but the 735 is.
Yes. I mean, we do a needs assessment, and then we take what we need and kind of apply it. So that's where we're funding our TOSA out of.
Okay, out of the 735.
What do you use for, I should be able to do this mentally, but 4.31% COLA actually means what dollars?
It's about, so we're estimating about 2 million in ongoing revenue from last June, not the interims where we already applied the COLA. So we're estimating from last year. So this next year, about 2 million in ongoing revenue.
Plus the 700 or so. So you're thinking somewhere between $2.5 and $3 million in ongoing.
Where'd you get the 735?
Now the 7 is that special ed funding, which is ongoing.
Yes.
So.
Oh, yeah.
I'm just trying to, again, it's always separating these, like.
Yeah, the ongoing with the one time. But yeah, you're right, about 2.5 to 3 million ongoing revenue. Okay. That guy driving over there's falling asleep. All right, some other local assumptions.
Most honest one in the bunch, right here.
All right, so we're estimating our enrollment for next year at about 3,693. That includes 10 students that are in our county program. So the number I give you guys in our Friday report in projection is 83, because I don't include the county ones when we're looking, those ones we're looking for butts and seats. And currently, we're about 9 over our projection. So we're looking good, that's always a fear of mine that I over project, because that's based, that drives our revenue, right?
Yeah.
Then our ADA will put in our calculator. So we're in a good spot.
I know as it relates to enrollment, I know that we watch that really closely, not only how many kiddos have enrolled, but how many show up. And I know that can be a challenge. What's the right way to ask this question? How do we look at that? Well, I'm just trying to understand, do we account for a discrepancy? Do we anticipate this is how many kiddos versus how many, is there a percentage?
Yeah, we always assume you probably lose about 30 when the school year starts. People move over the summer. It's kind of a balance. What we do, all the schools send out kind of a plans for next year survey. Are you coming back? Are you not? For TK, that's your unknown. And so when we started getting close to filling up, we asked the school sites to actually call those pre-enrolled students, are you actually going to enroll your student TK? Because sometimes they register and then they don't really plan for it. So we actually lost a few kids and we're able to make adjustments through that process. So we're always looking at it and making sure we're trying to get as close to the number as possible. There's always going to be some unknowns. And so, people that move over the summer, they didn't plan to move over the summer, and whether they're honest, when we send it or even answer it.
I just imagine even if they're enrolled, they don't necessarily have to show up, right? They could enroll elsewhere and kind of be playing the game. Where are they going to be accepted or go?
So we can look at trends over the years and what happens from last May to August and what will happen. And then we can project what we think will happen between this May and August. And so we know we will get another potentially 30 students between TK and K. But then we know by the first day of school, we lose about 30 students. So the fact that we're ahead by 9 or so students right now at this point in time feels like we're pretty spot on with our projections. So we watch it weekly. We have conversations about it weekly. We look at class size weekly. We look at, all of the students and all of the grades and who we think is coming. This is one of the issues that we're on pretty tightly and close.
So we have some new construction housing coming up. Have you accounted for those?
Not in these, because there's still a ways away before the development's actually.
Okay, so you keep track of all the.
Yeah, we plan on doing a enrollment study to see how that may impact. A lot of times, depending on the housing, they kind of overestimate the number of kids coming, so we need to be careful. But they give us they give us a conservative, a moderate.
So there is a band for modeling.
So,
from a presence perspective, that stuff that opened at Keto, did we ever figure out what we actually received now we're a couple years post them opening the bulk of Keto? I only say that because
Oh, these are the townhouses
The
over there?
ones that you went to, Maureen.
I don't know if we saw a big.
no, my point is that,
We saw any-
so the point is I think
Yeah.
we see negligible,
Yeah.
Changes.
yeah, negligible, even if,
This is
even when we
big though.
yeah, but
The
Keto was a couple hundred, and I don't think Baker saw actually a declining enrollment continuing, even post kind of the most meaningful development we've seen in our,
Mhm.
and that, the math on that shouldn't work.
Yeah,
The math.
maybe it's correlated to the economy. Or
Yeah.
something.
Yeah.
Jobs.
There are bigger macro
Yeah.
issues than that.
Yeah.
When we do the enrollment study, we'll look at birth rates, which have been on the decline, although there's been a bump recently. We'll look at housing around us, the economy, how many capture rate from private school to public school. So we'll look at all of those trends. And so we're due for a new study. The one we have is, I think, 4 years old. So that will give us some more up-to-date information. So as we move forward in our budget planning for the subsequent years, that's something that we'll put in place for next year.
We always have to take it and then apply our own understanding, because we have had years where that was not at all close to what.
And then we have our two main retirement groups. So STRS, we pay, the district's portion is 19.1%, and for PERS, we pay 26.4%. So that's just the retirement part. So for STRS members, the extra like kind of statutory benefits is about 23%. But the district is the hook for, and then for our PERS member, it's closer to like 33%. So it's an additional 33%, their pay plus an additional 33% that is on the district. So we always watch that. Included in this 26-27 is full contribution from the lease revenue. We get a little bit over 8 million from our lease sites. So that helps tremendously. Extended day program contribution, we get about 700,000 from that. And then we obviously have our 3% routine restricted maintenance contribution, and we did include the updated special ed revenue assumptions in these numbers. Again, what's not included, those negotiated settlements. It's important to note that for all bargaining, any enrollment mitigation that we're going to do from when we created this budget, so we're adding new teachers to kind of help with class sizes, and then any additional commitments as we go through, are not yet in there. So you'll see come first interim, we should be settled by then. You'll see there's going to be a big difference from the numbers. That's just how it goes.
And just kind of going back to that previous slide for just 1 second. What's an example of additional commitments not yet approved? What would be?
A student that we need to place in an NPS, non-public school.
Makes sense.
Right? So it's kind of unknown as you're creating that budget, right?
Yeah, makes sense.
It's kind of like your home budget when your water heater goes out, you plan on it. So now you got to figure it out.
It never happens.
No, it never happens. It's cold water. All right. So then enrollment in 88, so multi-year assumptions. So the chart on the right is kind of what you've seen in the past, but you can see our enrollment projections. So we have 3,683, and then we do keep that kind of 1.5% decline, because that's kind of what we've seen. So we're going to keep it in our multi-year. We have a kind of an estimate of our P2 ADA for the 3 years. Our funded ADA, you can see that drops because of the declining enrollment. We do include our COLA though in the out years, so it kind of offsets it a little bit. We don't see the full realization of the COLA because of the declining enrollment, but we do still see an uptick in our revenue, which is good. STRS stays pretty consistent with their 19.1. PERS kind of fluctuates. They're going to go up a little bit in 27, 28, and potentially go down in 28, 29. But you can see our funded ADA is always going to be slightly below our actual.
And what does P2 ADA mean?
So it's like the first 8 months.
First 8 months.
So you have your P1, which is like the first 4 months, P2. So it's our reporting periods that we do attendance. It kind of helps track. And so what it does is it helps state like, okay, P1, this is kind of your estimated ADA. So we're going to give you X amount, and then they kind of do a true up at the end.
Got
it. Like a PN
Okay.
Wrap it up.
And the enrollment and the funded ADA is the 3-year average, so I'm assuming that 3633 is reflective of the highest of the previous 3 years average.
Yeah, so that is the 3-year average.
Okay,
So it's the 3-year average is higher than the current year or the prior year.
okay,
So then that way we use the 3-year average.
3-year.
Yeah, that won't change unless we have a big bump.
Unless we, yeah, exactly.
Is there any talk, I mean, I know there's been talk, is there anything more comprehensive on changing the funding model? Just rumor mongering?
I mean, this would have been a good year.
Kind of a
There's a lot of money out there. There was talk, they did come out, I think was it the state legislation was talking about it? I could have the wrong entity, but they were talking about funding based on enrollment opposed to ADA.
Yeah.
But then they came out and kind of said, well, if we do that, maybe the attendance, the schools wouldn't care about attendance. So we know there's a systematic problem with how they fund schools because you get two models, community funded and LCFF. We're LCFF, we're based on enrollment. Community funded gets, all the property taxes. So there's talk about it, they just got to pull.
Nothing meaningful, right?
Nothing that's going to stick, I think, right now. So,
They get stuck in the bureaucracy conversation.
Revenue outlook, you can see our LCFF, so you have our estimated actuals, kind of where we think we're going to end this current year, 25-26. Our total revenues of 49.4, and then you start looking at the out years, and you do see there is, even with declining enrollment, there is a growth in our revenue, which is good, because we're applying the COLA on those out years. So we're still seeing an increase, just not as high as, if we had increased or steady enrollment.
Interesting that the COLA is actually outpacing the decline in enrollment.
It's, well, not really. Like the COLA just is applied against more people than the decline in enrollment. Our problem is this is increasing at the same pace.
Yeah,
If not more so than COLA, so.
Yeah.
Inflation?
Yeah, well, we have inflation and negotiations, both of which are on this end.
Yeah.
Right.
So this gives you just kind of a snapshot of our expenditure outlook. You can see the graphs on the left, the red, the blue, and the green. Those are basically all in our people, which is where most of our money goes, which is where it should, in the business of people, educating our students. And so we're estimated about a 47.3 million expenditures, and then on the out years about 47.7. So as the dip for expenditures is, we're looking at ways to kind of right the ship. We know we're deficit spending, so we're making some assumptions in those out years, utilizing some one-time funds on the restricted side, the discretionary grant, to kind of lower the expenditures. But you can see it doesn't go that low.
I'm sorry, I'm a little bit confused. If our revenues is increasing and our projected expenditure is declining, why is there an issue?
Because we haven't, so these expenditures don't have any negotiation settlements in it. So for example, if we negotiate and the settlement is, let's say it costs us $1 million. So it's going to be $1 million goes up in our expenditures. But your funding balance, what we said was like 2.9.
Wait, it goes up $1 million in year one and then $1,025,000.
Subsequent, so the snowball effect is the one that's going to catch it. Yeah, okay.
So because we haven't finished our negotiations, it does look like, we got this declining expenditures, but, let's say it's $1 million.
Yeah.
Million, it's 2 million, the following is 3. It's just, it compounds.
Yeah.
So major transfers and contributions. So as I said, lease revenue. So we're estimating about 8.4 million this year in lease revenue. We did have to adjust some leases, so we're projecting 8.2. We think we might be closer to the 8.4 because we're able to kind of cover kind of the changes. But at the time we were doing this, we weren't sure if we were going to be able to fill that vacancy of some classrooms over Mr. Buck. So the blue is money that is being contributed to the unrestricted funds. The red is going out, so that's our special ed contribution. And so the reason the contribution dropped is because of that increase in SPED funding. We kind of applied it.
With the inflation.
Okay, you can see the others. Then you have ELOP in there that contributes, and then 3%. Okay. So kind of our reserve and designation outlook. So we do meet our 3% reserve in all our out years. Our undesignated balances, you can see, is 2.92 for next year, and then the out year is 2.7, 3.04. I can't emphasize enough that we do not have negotiations settled, so that's where that compound comes into play. So you can see, once, let's say it's, like I said, $1 million, that 2.92 goes to 1.92. The next year that drops to 0.72, and you can do the math on last year. So it's something that we're watching. The one-time discretionary funds, we're going to utilize that, not for ongoing costs because we want to be fiscally responsible, but.
What is the intention of the one-time money?
I think it's
because the majority of what we're needing to spend is ongoing, right? It's people.
I think, it's to obviously support schools, right? But I think it's the state's way of saying, hey, we're giving you all this money, but we're not committed to it. Because when you put it on like COLA, you're committed to it, right? Because then that is ongoing. So they change it. This one is fully discretionary, which is good. So we're able to utilize it. Sometimes they have strings attached. So it's, getting it year after year, and that's what people see, but it still is considered one time. So it's a tough, you just got to be careful.
The state is nervous about the way it receives its income.
Yeah.
So they're uncertain that they're going to receive that same income the next year because they become entirely connected to stock market gains that are based on whether the market is up or not, and more employees are getting restricted stock or not, actually. And so they can't forecast it, and they're very nervous that from one year to the next, they can have a radically different tax collection. So that's just their hedge, is to say, well, I have this money this year, I'm squirreling away a bunch of it for now. So that's how the rainy day stuff happens. And then it's also, well, I give some of it, but I don't know how much to give. And I'm not committed to giving it every year. So it has to do with the shift from just collecting payroll taxes, which is where California State was for decades, to now being just as economically tied to the stock market as Silicon Valley employees are.
I understand the why, but I guess what I wonder is how are we any different? What are they expecting us to use it for? How do we best utilize it? Those are two different questions entirely, but, right, because we also can't count on that. And yes, it continues to show up, fortunately, but it is one-time money, and we too have to be mindful of the ongoing expenses.
Yeah, it's tough. That's a good point, is they kind of, here's this one time, but you don't know if you're going to get it. And so as a school district, we need to, be careful how we spend it, tying it. It does allow us to keep programs in place longer than maybe we would be allowed to if we didn't have it. And so it allows us to kind of look at the different resources, reallocate expenditures that, we would be willing in the out years to maybe do without because the money's not there anymore. But it's, it's something that you can't tie it to, salaries because those are ongoing. It's on a contract. Once you're committed, then.
That's my point.
Yeah,
but you can tie it to salaries. You can do it. They just don't, I don't think the state cares that you have to do the hard work of then laying somebody off potentially.
Well, yes.
Like the state's indifferent to that. The state's like, well, if you want to hire somebody, hire them.
Yeah, but then when the money's gone.
After 3 years, you won't be able to pay them.
Not even 3, I mean, it depends on whatever the deal is.
Yeah.
I don't think that, my point is, to me, it kind of makes sense that they've said, hey, this is what we can do. Make your best decision on how you spend it. I actually kind of appreciate that. And if you want to apply it to people and move the chess pieces around about who then you might have to let go, I don't think the state cares.
But when
We do.
We do.
we do, yeah.
We care.
Exactly.
But when we talk about it being unrestricted, is it truly unrestricted in terms of timeline as well? Like, or is it like, no, it is
Are you
unrestricted?
talking about the
Years.
discretionary grant?
Yeah.
So that's actually on the restricted side, so it doesn't show up here, but the one that they're giving is fully discretionary. We can do,
2 years? Do you have 2 years?
it's like 3 years.
Or 3 years?
We put some timeline on of you need to spend it within X number of years or you pay it back, we'll spend it, don't worry. But yeah, so there's usually a timeline.
The state has trust issues with you too, Chris.
So.
We're gonna work on that. We're gonna work on that.
So it's like a 3-year, usually it's about 3 years they give you to spend.
Got it, yeah.
But that's the only like expectation.
For this one, that's the only, yeah, they give you recommendations,
Right.
but for this particular case, we don't, it's fully discretionary. The last one that's expiring, the arts, music, arts materials block grant, well, that's kind of big one. There was more restrictions on it of how we can spend it. And so we had to, when we looked at it, we had to be careful on what we spent it on to make sure it met the restrictions. Still was pretty discretionary. That one wasn't too bad, but this one is, they say it's fully discretionary. Spend it as you wish.
But you mentioned they give recommendations as to how we should use it?
Professional development, I'd have to go back and see what the recommendations are, but they always give recommendations on what they think.
Literacy,
I guess
implementing
that's
the
my point, is
literacy.
what is their expectation in terms of what we could use it for? But they do give us a recommendations. It's a recommendation.
A list of
A list,
things
yeah.
that they would recommend, but it's fully discretionary.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
I think on the bottom of that slide kind of says a little bit, the next slide.
Oh, the next one, yeah.
Yeah, temporary supports to avoid creating structural obligations, which is.
So like Brian was saying, is we care about that. We don't want to, tie it to ongoing and you have to lay off a bunch of people because we need the people. That's how students are successful, is the people. We can work on some iPad training.
It might not be working. You might need an
I know.
iPad.
I just see him over there. So these are
Taking pictures of.
distracted.
I can take a picture.
I can't take it.
Trying to give you a presentation here.
We're working on it.
Go ahead.
But in all seriousness, really what we want to do is make sure we're maximizing the resources we have today for today's kiddos.
That's right.
Yeah,
That's our philosophy.
yeah.
So these are just some of the other funds that help us, just run the district. So our ELOP helps run kind of neediest kids for extended care and extra time. Prop 28, arts and music. Universal meals is still in the budget, which is great. And then we have state preschool and then our federal programs help us as well.
And when we talk about universal meals, that is the carryover from COVID times where we removed any restrictions
Yes.
for.
So yeah, pre-COVID, you had those that were free or reduced. You need to get a free or reduced rate and you can pay. And then come COVID time, they implemented universal everyone eats.
Yeah.
And then they've kept that in, which is great.
Yeah, absolutely.
And eats the same thing.
Yes.
I love it.
For $2.52 a day. Day.
And it's gotten better.
It wasn't in any promotion ceremonies, it's just.
Breakfast snack.
Good. So budget development timelines, as you know, September we'll report the unaudited actuals. December will come in with the first interim. So unaudited will be current year, 25-26, kind of where we ended. December first interim is where we'll adjust our 26-27 budgets, come back in March, and then in June, we'll be there before we know it, we'll be doing 27-28 budget. So for tonight, we're gonna conduct the public hearing. Any questions from the crowd out here that I scared away? I wanna note in the next slides moving, so I do give you all the information that you're used to seeing, just so you can see, so kind of in the old ways, but it gives you all the numbers. The one to go one more, just to make sure, one more,
They're there.
one more. So here you can see on the top line, increase, decrease. We still are deficit spending about 2.2 in 25-26, what we're anticipating. It's decreasing, but again, no negotiated settlements. Can't emphasize that enough.
What's that?
No negotiated settlements.
But the 25-26 does have the settlements in it.
Yes, that deficit spending of 2.2 is
includes.
supposed to be accurate.
Yeah.
Congratulations, that's a real number.
It's a real number.
We really spent 2.2
Yeah.
than when we started the year.
But it's down from what we originally thought it was going to be.
Yes, that's true.
And we're using some monies to close that gap.
And so then when you approve this, hopefully on June 23rd, it'll already be outdated.
And it'll be starting on next year.
Starting next year.
I appreciate the format though, and the type of information you're providing. It makes it easy for all to read
Yeah.
and understand, which is saying something for school funding.
I 100% agree. I think this is one of the more clearer budget presentations. Thank you.
Thank you.
So, yes, to do a public hearing.
All right. Wait, we will now hold a public hearing on the 2026-2027 Moreland School District budget as of 8:35. The hearing is open. Are there any comments from the public or board?
At the opening.
At the open?
Yeah, and then the
Close.
closing.
Okay, I'll never get this right. We'll now close the hearing.
Very good.
Emphasis.
Poor Sriram has both closing.
I know, poor Sriram. He's like stuck between.
He's gonna ask to move seats.
The president sit down there.
I'm gonna take my hammer and go home.
Gavel.
Oh my God.
It's like.
All right, moving on to consent items. I know it's a day where everybody's itching to go home, except the board. We have more, we're gonna reconvene close. But moving to the consent items, any questions from the board on consent items? Hearing none. Oh, I'm sorry, were you about to ask a question?
No, I was just going to acknowledge the policies that are in the consent and the work that was done to make sure compliant, that it has Moreland's feel.
Thank you, Heather. With that, do I have a motion to approve the consent items?
Submit a motion to approve the consent items in aggregate.
Do I have a second?
Second?
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right.
And congratulations on a school year being done for this crew.
Woo-hoo! Look at that.
Not without a small amount of effort.
And you.
We got one more board meeting.
And us.
No. Come on, your summer has a different feel to it. I know you guys.
That's true.
Absolutely.
If you're working.
This place does have a certain lift to it. As it does.
Future meeting dates, I know the July meeting dates are on the calendar, but it is on an as-needed basis.
If we have an emergency and we need to have a meeting, we'll hold it. So it's on the calendar, but it'll
Okay.
likely be canceled,
Okay,
This was the July.
the July.
the July one. Okay, all right. Any other questions on announcements, reminders, requests?
The next one in July.
All right, the meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks.
Thank you. Welcome. Welcome.